and Deadheads, welcome to our podcast. I'm Karen.
And I'm David.
And this is the Walking Dead Cast, episode 47. And you know who neither of us are? Jason. That's because he told me that he thinks the zombies are, quote, icky, unquote, so he quit. Okay, no.
He's not doing he's left us doing a podcast on the Paranormal Activity series.
That is also not at all true. He's in the South with Jenny and Little Ned, so he'll be back next week. So today you have me and my better half, David.
And I was thinking maybe we could do one of those great husband and wife teams that, throughout entertainment history. Like, say, McMillan and wife, great husband and wife team.
Sonny and Cher.
Sonny and Cher,
Zombies.
Paul and Linda McCartney.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Paul. Okay, let's move on to our Deadcast Top 5.
Attention shoppers, Deadcast Top 5 in 5, 4, 3, 2.
This week it's our top 5 highlights from Season 2, Episode 5, Chupa Cabra.
You know what Chupa means?
I think you're about to explain.
Yeah, indeed. Chupa means to suck and Cabra, goat.
Yeah, they were talking in the show about, Rich said something about you believe in the head of a dog or something?
I think it's a
goat, isn't it?
It's
a goat-headed creature?
It's not. It's a creature that eats goats, and they think that it's sort of like a feral dog situation. That like these crazy feral dog, maybe rabid dogs, they're now called chupacabras that attack goats, and that's where the whole chupacabra. I think. I mean, hey, listeners, you have a better explanation than I do.
Here's going to be the theme of today's show. Jason listening to this rolling his eyes. If you do any research, he doesn't even know what the title of the episode means.
So it sounds kind of cool. So this is actually being recorded on Sunday night. We just got done watching the episode, and I just have to say, I give it a solid 4.5 brains out of 5. How do you like it?
Yeah, I would say we're somewhere between 4 and 4.5 brains. Not as much suspense as some other shows, but certainly one amazing action sequence that probably makes up for all of that.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. So, okay, you want to go first with your top 5? Or your number 5?
My number 5 is the right at the beginning of the show in a flashback sequence, and I actually love the flashback sequences from week to week because you get to sort of learn a little bit more about the world before it all changed.
Yeah, I agree.
My number 5 is the helicopters flying towards Atlanta because there's a lot of remnants in the show of the military battle against the zombies, but we don't really get to see a lot of what went on. And so the helicopters, a little echo of the helicopter that Rick saw way back when in the second episode.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool to see that whole military thing going on, and we've talked about this often, the need to suspend one's disbelief in the show. So I thought this was one of those moments where I had to work a little hard to suspend my disbelief because we did spend a good portion of the first season seeing them run around Atlanta. I don't remember seeing any neighborhoods that were bombed with napalm, but maybe they were there.
Right, exactly. We see a whole lot of Atlanta. Atlanta's a big place. So we saw the streets that weren't destroyed. Yeah, okay, so that's also actually my number 5, and that is the intro. I really like the flashback sequences. I think it gives us a richer enjoyment of their situation now. If we can see how they got to now. I like also the disorientation of these flashbacks, how you don't really know what time they're in. At first you see a big traffic jam, and I was thinking, wait, are they showing how the big traffic jam got there? Is that how they're showing the traffic jam they were just visiting in season 2? But in fact, no, it's a different traffic jam entirely, and it's Shane and Lori and Carl on the road to the refugee camp that apparently isn't there anymore. And it was so dramatic, going into the woods and then seeing the people who were watching with them and seeing the bombs dropping in Atlanta. Super dramatic and fantastic. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, and they note at that point that the radio is already off the air, and that seems pretty early on in the proceedings that there's no more emergency radio.
No more emergency radio, yeah.
Yeah, so your emergency radio that you got for donating to KQED, no use at all a few days into the zombie bomb.
Sorry, NPR, we still for you. Okay, your number 4?
My number 4 was both of them.
No, I didn't, I swear.
My number 4 was Maggie Red on Blood. He says, and here's an alert for the young members of our audience, this was a more sexually explicit episode than most, in terms of the language, and I thought they were talking about sexual matters a few times in the show. But he says, we have 11 condoms left, and Maggie says, that's 11 minutes of my life on the way back. I mean, zing. really poor one. We really got to this place there, but Maggie, she is a pistol.
She is, lucky Glenn.
I guess after the zombie apocalypse, and if you are trying to cast off your virginity, you have to take those circumstances, right?
No wonder Portland thinks all the ladies of the camp have synchronized cycles, and they're all especially moody and grumpy.
One gets the impression you may not be most experienced with the parasites.
Well, quite. My number 4 is the uncomfortable dinner. Especially, I just love how quiet it was. And then Glenn, who I love in his innocence and his sweet innocence, pipes up with, "Hey, anything here to play guitar?" And then this is the uncomfortable silence that followed. And then with somebody saying, "Yeah, Otis was a guitar player," and Herschel saying he was a fine guitar player. Oh, it's just so painful. But it gives me a lot of hope for my guitar lessons being useful after the apocalypse. I'll be very popular. At any rate.
There will be lots of guitars and few Williams. Plus, a good one from the Vintage.
Very dramatic. I know how many times we've seen rock stars smash guitars on stage.
Yeah, now you could make that use as a defensive weapon. Yeah, I like that scene too. It was so amazingly uncomfortable. It kind of had the, many people had the mood of the worst first date you've ever been on. And then, so you're sitting there, you're in the worst, most uncomfortable first date you've ever been on, and then he makes a comment that makes it worse. Too true. Okay, so your number 3? My number 3 is I like Herschel in this episode. Sort of his civil leadership. So he kind of started out as this sort of kindly father figure-y doctor who turned out to be a veterinarian, but sort of still the same principle. And he's getting a harder and harder edge to him the longer this goes on, and the longer these people are sort of invading his home. And we're not kind of waiting for that to start because he knew it was going to. They're using resources and they're endangering people and all that stuff's going on. But he puts it really simple. He kind of puts it right in his place. He says, "You control your people, I'll control mine." With a sort of a strong undercurrent that Ray is not doing a good job of controlling his people.
Yeah, exactly.
And that really also puts Ray in a leadership position, which has not always been as explicit as this. But you kind of get the feeling with Herschel, and it's actually he's going to turn out to be not true in a totally other way. But he's in the middle. Like sometimes with the characters we know love, there's a lot of drama and some silly things going on. And Herschel's like, he's in the middle.
He's taking care of business. Yeah, he's there filling up, putting fuel in the generator. He's trying to take care of business. But I tell you, he's also I think micromanaging the whole situation. It's not going to work out well for him.
True. And we maybe we'll talk about this in a little bit when we talk about the episode more general. But that was one thing I liked in this episode too. Is they're highlighting a lot of flaws in characters, which make the characters more real. And that seems like one of Herschel's flaws. He's taking care of business, but he's also getting involved with some details.
And he's in serious denial about sort of what's going on. Business is not normal, Herschel.
Yes.
And he's sort of treating it like it is. And I think that's going to have some bad consequences. But we'll see. My number 3 was I love Daryl. I love everything about him in this episode. He goes into the woods on horseback to look for Sophia, and he's going to go up to this area where he can look down and see over and see if he can see her. And I love the fact that the crossbow goes off into his side. And Norman Reedus just is a fantastic actor in this episode, especially really shines. He was in do you see Boondock Saints?
I have not.
Yeah, never now want to because he's in it, and evidently he's also an artist. He has had art paintings, I believe, shown in galleries all over the world. I mean, this guy's an amazing guy.
Yeah, and you, Jason, were talking a couple of shows ago about how he's become an endearing character, which you like, and Jason didn't like quite as much,
right.
Because you need not everybody to be a civil hero and all that.
Right.
But I think that it's partly the actor. I mean, he does have a way about him. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like Nathan Fillion from Firefly. You see him in anything else, and you just love him not because he's only a beloved character, but just because that actor has a certain way about him.
Yeah, I agree. Although he's on about the Vampire Slayer, as a creature, he's crazy scary and not good. Just saying, I'm both of them. And I also like we had our two fantastic zombie kills during that whole sequence of Daryl being down in the creek bed, where he went smashing on one Zed and the crossbow pulled the bow out of arrow out of his body, and at the last second put into the crossbow and shot the other Zed. Unbelievable! It was so awesome. And then Nick goes a little nutty and puts on the freaky ear necklace and gets a visit from his hallucination of Merle. Oh, that was fantastic.
Yes, couldn't agree more. He was awesome in this whole episode, and it was fun that Merle showed up again, and I think that was done in a very clever way. In that we've all been waiting for the other shoe to drop with Merle.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to show up as a zombie? Is he alive? Missing a hand? Whatever. Here he shows up, but it's like
Yeah, he's just Daryl's scary little voice in his head, and I sure hope they don't make him. Well, you know what? Here you go, Jason. Now it's going to go off. He's not going to be your simple hero anymore. He's going to go off the deep end. Wearing your necklace first sign crazy.
So this is a perfect segue into my number two, which is throughout this episode, the theme of hallucination, which is really, I think, a lot of what this episode was about. I think that's why they chose the title. I think it's part of the reason they chose the title they did, and they started talking about it right away, where Rick says, "You believe in this dog, goat eating creature," and Daryl says, "You believe in dead people walking around."
Yeah, right.
So in this zombie apocalypse universe, the line between reality and unreality for these people has to be getting pretty thin, because they're seeing things that they never believed to be possible. So,
and doing things they never thought they'd do. They're all now handling guns and shooting people. Sure, they're dead people, but they're allergic people, and
they are allergic people.
and they're doing crazy things. There, it must be like some sort of nightmare they can't wake up from.
Exactly, and so that theme is sort of running, obviously, the whole hallucination of Merle. This theme is running through it. What's real, what's not, and we get a pre-clear indication that's not real. But this goes back to helicopters early in the episode, because they remind us of the helicopter that Rick saw.
Right,
and
we didn't know, was that hallucination or not?
And we still don't know.
And we still don't know.
And that seems, there's some indications. I know a lot of people believe that was a hallucination. It certainly could have been, and there's a lot of support that. But there's a lot of support that it wasn't, because he just woke up from coma, and his blood sugar was a little low after running away with that. So that could argue for hallucination. But at least accepting the shows it's presented, there is no indication of anything else like that in Rick's behavior before or after.
Yeah,
so like all this crazy stuff's going on, and he just has one isolated hallucination for 10 seconds. That seems a little strange, and that would argue that maybe it was real.
Right. I think they're getting back to the military being in Atlanta, and there's all kinds of military attempts at handling the situation that just went horribly wrong. Okay, speaking of things that went horribly wrong, let's get to my number two, which is Andrea shooting Daryl. No! However, it was just a flesh wound.
So I think she has a bad shot.
It was a long way away, too. She was able to really get a good headshot. Getting ahead grades from that distance, when you look from his point of view where they were at, it should have been some sort of master marksman. But anyway, I digress. This is not going to help his general state of being. His mental health is not going to all of a sudden kick into high gear because of this. And by the way, he was lurching and pulling something behind him. What was it, you think? Remember he was pulling something behind him? Was he lurching and trying to... He looked very zombie-like.
He did look very zombie-like. We're going to have to go back and check the recording. I thought he was just training his crossbow again.
Oh, maybe he was just training crossbow. I looked like he was dragging something, but that could be just me. And I love Glenn's comments, which is, he's wearing ears.
Yes, you don't really.
No.
So this kind of gets me into what I saw some of the flaws in the characters they're highlighting in this episode. So that's Andrea's she's trying to shoot somebody.
Yeah,
I mean, she is trigger happy at this point. So clearly her opportunity to shoot something was very exciting to her. Then meanwhile we got Dale's busybody. First he was getting Andrew's business, now he's getting Glenn's business.
Yeah, right.
Really talk about a turn, I'd say.
Glenn was waiting there. I have to disagree. Glenn was waiting there with the bad book, whatever it was. I'm gonna guess it was a Jackie Collins novel. Daniel Steele, sorry, it was Daniel Steele. But it was like his secret obsession is Daniel Steele. Anyway, but he was waiting there. Clearly Glenn wanted to talk to Dale. So I don't think Dale was being busybody at all. I think Dale was saying what I was thinking, which was don't let Herschel catch you, because that's gonna be a bad thing. Yeah.
But does that come from knowledge from the comic or what have you? Because initially, I mean, she's clearly an adult, and the zombie apocalypse is going on, and we're worried about. I don't know. It all seems it's not a big deal. I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, except okay, anyway, okay, never mind. We won't get any spoilery.
But in the meanwhile, Shane's walking around with a huge secret, and he's kind of selfish. Rick is risking everyone's life because he feels guilty about Sophia.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was a good dose of realism in the show. Everybody's kind of got baggage going on.
They all got stuff, man. Okay, what's your number one?
Well, you already talked fair enough about number one, but just to focus a little bit, it's just a very particular action sequence with Daryl, which I think might be the best zombie killing action sequence that has taken place in the entire show so far.
Which I can get.
So it's when he kills the 3 zombies. So it's 1 on 3, and you get no guns, and you get a tree branch through the head.
Yep.
You get a crossbow through the eye, with the zombie then landing on the crossbow bolt.
In the mud.
And really just maybe the best moment I've seen was the very first part of that action sequence when Merle's dream of Merle shaking him, and he wakes up and it's actually a zombie gnawing on his foot.
Trying not.
So I thought that was awesome. And leaving aside whether he's an endearing character or hero or whatever,
Right.
he's a badass. He is a better badass than any of the cops or anyone who were doing stuff with guns. I mean, he's out there on his own, he's wounded, he's injured, and he is kicking some zombie behind.
He is pulling a freaking arrow out of his side to shoot into the zombie, and then he makes his little makeshift bandage, and then he helps himself to a little squirrel.
Yes, well, I love that part of the scene too, where so he's falling down the hill and he had lost his crossbow in the water. He kind of doesn't realize it, and he starts to reach for the crossbow. And but he's also reaching for a bolt. I think he's reaching for a bolt to put in the crossbow, and then he realizes, oh no, it's stuck in my body. He forgot, but he had a crossbow through his body.
Yeah.
He reaches for it, he's like,
That is Chinese. Yeah, exactly. Is that what you call a crossbow arrow? You call it a bolt?
I think it's a bolt.
Interesting. That's some sort of Scrabble word that you...
No, it might be more because I don't know all those movies.
Oh, and they're called bolts.
I think so.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong about that, then I'm over 2. I go ahead, creatures and crossbow arrows.
Okay, my number one is I love the moment in the episode where Glenn gives a note to when Maggie opens up Glenn's note and it says ever done it in a barn. I think everybody Hayloft, and then everybody sort of screamed no. Oh, it was fantastic. And no, please Glenn, don't go in the barn. Turns out it was fine. Maggie's there to look down and he's actually well above them. Maggie kind of pulls him out of there. But the thing that is the best moment of that whole sequence is the showing the barn doors, the locked barn doors. Can they hold for very much longer? Because now the zombies are all riled up seeing Glenn and his fresh young brain, and they're hungry. They're hungry zombies and they want some.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do with a horde of zombies locked in a barn is get them all riled up. That's just not a good thing to do.
When Glenn's juicy brain, so I love that. I thought that was definitely my
You
favorite.
should think Glenn's brain's extra juicy. Why is that?
He's so nice. Love him. Okay, any other comments on the show?
I have a couple other observations about this episode. One is that, and this is not kind of just about this episode, but it's highlighted once again. I mean, these people are a menace to themselves and others. They are more dangerous to themselves than the zombies are. Like, if you took this group of people and let them wander around in the woods for a few days, they'll be dead. I mean, just in the last few episodes, T-Dog almost killed himself by cutting himself on a disabled car. It wasn't moving. Daryl falls off a horse and crossbows himself. Otis shoots Carl. Andrea shoots Daryl. I mean, it's like an Agatha Christie murder mystery. I mean, they're going to be all dead by the end.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, they're much more dangerous to themselves than the zombies are. Them.
Yeah, so maybe there's some sort of social commentary here on actual humans. But
I love Dale's comment to Andrea. Don't be too hard on yourself, Andrea. We've all wanted to shoot Daryl. Yeah.
so are they back on the back in his good side?
I think that he's on his way getting back into her good graces. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, these are the other things I wrote down. That so there's this whole question of whose baby is it?
Yeah.
How do we know she's pregnant?
Yeah.
Well, if the baby's born, we'll know by the ears.
With his earlobes, yeah.
If the baby has Shane's ears, that's the answer.
I'm really sorry for mentioning Shane here. Now that I've laughed about it all, I can look at it. He's a super handsome actor.
And
he's really good. And yet the earlobes are the thing that I stare at. He's wonderful. I'm really sorry to that actor because he's great.
And then one question I wrote down, we were talking about this a little during the episode, but is Rick making good choices?
That was another thing. Yeah. They talked about that all through this episode. That's been a thread. Is Rick going to be able to handle the responsibilities of leadership and what it means for his mental health? It's not looking good for him right now. That's for sure.
Well, and I have to say, a lot of me putting yourself into pretending you're one of the characters in the story, I kind of agree with Shane. I mean, I think the whole looking for Sophia past a certain point is, now I don't know if that's going to be borne out to be true or false, but, all kinds of dangerous, violent things are happening that, and it's kind of a nice tag, so.
Yeah, I agree. Why was Glenn out there searching for Sophia?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, he seemed to be doing very important things like playing the guitar and bandying comments about Maggie, so I can see why he could spare himself.
And finishing up the Jackie Collins novel.
Yes, yes, so one wonders. And then, so yeah, the issue of Rich Choices certainly will continue to be a theme as we go forward. And then I wrote down just because this is, I'm sure everybody watches the show, has seen this commercial, the Tube commercial, which is one of my favorite favorites, where basically the idea behind the commercial is they're saying they could ship the laptop today if they put the shockproof hard drive in it, and then the bosses, it runs through his head what would happen about the shockproof hard drive, and the computer would fall, and it would be faulty computer would be connected to the power grid, and the power would go out in the whole country, and then the guy would drink bad milk and turn into a zombie into zombie apocalypse. He says, no, it has to have the shockproof thing. So great commercial, very funny, but it did occur to me that perhaps the whole thing started with spoiled milk.
I don't understand how the zombie apocalypse can happen because of spoiled milk.
Well, I mean, the milk is spoiled and something's wrong in there and it turns into a pandemic, and if that were the case, then it's possible that Jenner's last words to Rick were, don't drink expired milk. No, you don't think that's what he said?
Yeah, I'd like to think that. We still don't know what Jenner said, and Rick ain't talking. So if it is dirty spoiled milk, Rick has not shared this information.
Yeah, and if he did, the rest of the people would be like, that's it. That's the speaking
We've also finished the commercial. All right, any more?
Nope.
Okay, well, let's move on to news about The Walking Dead. This is from an article with The Walking Dead writer creator Robert Kirkman, who's a man at Examiner.com. Kirkman notes vampires have their crosses and their garlic, and werewolves have their silver bullets. I've tried to canonize the most popular aspects of zombie lore. When I set up The Walking Dead, I took the best aspects of classic zombie movies and played that stuff up. For instance, most zombies shamble along. Fine. But eating brains, ridiculous. Getting through a skull is a pretty difficult thing. How do you know this?
Maybe he has sucking for ears.
So we stick to the zombies being general flesh eaters. So they go for the soft underbelly is what I'm getting at. That's my little comment. That's what Robert Kirkman is thinking. I'm trying to add some new elements like mindless mass migration of zombies as if it's some primitive herding instinct, but mostly I'm trying to solidify what the actual rules are in zombie universe.
I have to say I love the shambling herd of zombies. That was in the first episode of the second season, I believe.
Yeah, and you can I totally bought that. I completely could see the herd moving along as one.
Yes, sort of like big, slow, shambling bliss.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, this is from an interview, again, with Robert Kirkman, that came from TVI.com, and the question was, the big question is whether Lori's baby is Rick's or Shane's. How's that going to affect the dynamic among the three of them in particular? And Kirkman's answer was, once Shane finds out about this, assuming he does find out about this, he's going to react pretty strongly. His whole reason for worrying about Lori and Carl is that they become a surrogate family for him. If he believes this baby is going to be his, that's just going to solidify his state with this family. It's definitely going to throw a wrench in the whole love triangle thing that's going on.
I like how he says, though, he goes on about this whole explanation, but he says, assuming he does find out about this. So he starts having to answer the entire question about this whole triangle. So I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, he keeps things pretty close to the vest, and then sometimes he'll tell you, when he's interviewed. But interesting thing about Shane is, when I read that, I thought, that's a little bit strong that they're a surrogate family for him. But then think about it, it's really true. I mean, think about what he did for Carl. I mean, he went into that school where he could have killed, he killed for him. I mean, he killed Carl alive.
Oh, absolutely. I know just from my experience when I'm on an airplane and I hit turbulence, and if I'm on a business trip and I don't know the people next to me, I'm going to hold on to them as if they are my new surrogate family. And in fact, one time I did hold the hand of the guy next to me, this nice old guy, we hit a lot of turbulence over the Sierras, and I held his hand, and he was really nice to me, and I'm like, it's a surrogate family. So yeah, when the stuff comes down, yeah, you grab whoever's around you and you want to.
Well, and it's probably more than that with them. I mean, I think there's a fair amount of indication that he really was into Lori before any of this probably ever happened.
She's hot,
Yeah, yes.
and Carl's cute. Okay, and the other question in that interview is Lori's pregnancy what Jenner has whispered to Rick at the CBC in the season 1 finale? I'm going to answer the question, no, he whispered, don't have that milk. Kirkman, however, says, I can't say, that remains to be seen. All I can say is it'll definitely be revealed this season. We're getting pretty close to the midpoint of the season, so the likelihood of it being in the first half is looking pretty slim, I would say. We still haven't found out, so yeah, we're going to find out.
But it'll be definitely revealed this season, that's good to know.
Yeah, it is. So, and I don't know if listeners already know this, but there's going to be 2 more episodes in the first half of the season, so it's going to go through November, then we're going to take a break, and it's going to come back, I think it's coming back in February. So we'll make sure that, I think we said it in another podcast, but we'll be sure to do it when it comes back.
And speaking of taking a break, we are going to take a break. There's more comments. Stay with us.
All right, let's move on to listener moments, groans, and grunts.
That was pretty good. That season. Our first email is from Robert, who says, hello, thanks for the fun podcast. I really enjoy it. Going back to episode 2 of this season, I'm surprised that no one has mentioned the use of flares at the school to distract the zombies. It instantly reminded me of Romero's Land of the Dead, where scavengers use fireworks to distract the hordes while gathering supplies. If this would really work like they did at school, I would think they could use that method very often.
Yeah, and you'd think that they would have kept a flare, so they could have made a better escape and he saved Otis. And then he'd be playing guitar in the living room right now.
Yes, at the dinner. I was thinking the same thing. They were lobbing flares into that distracting that zombie horde like they were on the Blue Light Special Kmart, and then you don't find out later, hey, we threw every single one, we don't have any left.
That was bad planning.
Yeah.
Huh. Thanks for writing in, Robert. Yes, and they do sometimes use that. I mean, they do distract them occasionally. Something like that, right? Let's
Do you think Robert's Robert Kirkman, and he's ready to just plant some ideas into our podcast?
do you think he'd then use the name Robert?
It could be a stupendous double block.
It probably is a stupendous double. Thanks for writing in, Robert. Quote about Robert. This next one comes from Matthew. Matthew says, I'm thinking that Shane's 22 necklace, the 22 necklace he wears in 22, in his is his football basketball number from high school. He just strikes me as one of those stereotypical jock popular guy types from school that would love to relive the glory days years later by still wearing the number.
I can't take offense to that because I'm one of those guys. I don't think it's
Not only was Shane probably the jock popular guy type, we also got on this episode that he got a lot of chicks, he banged a lot of girls, right?
Yeah, I mean, this
Lots of girls.
is a smart email from Matthew, totally anticipating that whole conversation that was going to take place in the episode he presumably has.
Well done, Matthew.
Very good. Our next email is from James, who says, love your show, keep up the good work, much appreciated. Thank you, James. Actually, Jason and Karen, thank you.
Hey, so David.
Concerning Shane's necklace, whenever I see the number 22, I usually think of the phrase catch-22, which as far as I know is a reference to Joe Powell's book Catch-22. I've never actually read the book, Wikipedia summary of it. I wonder if Catch-22 is one of the books that Dale had in the RV.
Yes, Catch-22 and Jack Collins.
Yeah, and I don't think those teachers will probably not read Catch-22. I've never actually read the book Wikipedia summary of it. Says that the title refers to a military rule and fictional story that contains a self-contradictory rule that, for example, prevents anyone from avoiding combat missions. The connection of that story makes sense because whenever I've heard some say that's Catch-22, it always seems to imply another phrase, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So applying this to Shane's necklace might mean that Shane's character has a tendency to play with fire, e.g. his relation to Glory, the story about high school with the stolen coupe, etc. This is probably reaching. I think about this show way too much. I should be writing this page.
Thanks, James. James, get back to your dissertation. I'm glad you were listening. Thanks for writing it.
That is a very deep observation.
Yeah, it is.
And interestingly, Catch-22, which I did have the misfortune to read in high school, Catch-22 is often considered to be about existentialism, meaning the meaninglessness of what all these characters are going through. The characters are in the military in the book. So as James points out, the paradox is part of it, and that is what Catch-22 is. But the greater theme of the book is sort of the meaninglessness of their existence and their road to. So I think that lends some credence to this theory because that is obviously a major question underlying Walking Dead.
Yeah, absolutely. And also they're on this even in this episode, they're on this quest to find Sophia, this task of going into a kind of militaristic, hey, we're going to search grid by grid and try to find this girl. And it turned out, at least that day, to be fairly pointless. By the way, do you know that Catch-22 was originally called Catch-44?
Come on.
No, I'm totally serious. That was the original title and it became Catch-22.
Because
I don't know. I do know.
James, what do you say about that?
Okay, now we have a caller.
Hey guys, love the show. Just so you know, it's actually not that Jenner said to him, Lori's pregnant. Clearly, he wouldn't be trying to tell Morgan on radio at the beginning of the first episode. Clearly, what he's really told Jenner is that you don't need to be bitten in order to become a zombie. You simply have to die. Which means that this is, as Jenner said, what takes us out. Love the show, keep it guys. I love it.
That's, know who that Collar was, I don't think. But Collar brings up a really interesting question. That you don't need to get bitten to become a zombie. You just need to die. Is that what you heard too?
That's what he said, and it is interesting. And really, that goes back to a principle raised in the sort of granddaddy of all zombie movies, Night of the Living Dead, where that is the case. It's that the dead people are animated by radiation from outer space. It's not a virus, it's not a pandemic, whatever. But all you have to be is dead. And in both universes, share that if you don't have a brain, if you drop your head over that will stop them.
Right, but you don't have to be quote unquote infected. Every dead person comes back.
Right.
So we're all destined to be zombies, unless we're shot in the head.
Right. And I mean, have you seen anything that would contradict that? I mean, what about the dead people in the cars?
Yeah, I was just about to say the dead people in cars, but yeah, we have seen some things to contradict that. So I don't know. But Collar, really interesting point.
Yeah. One argument I would make against that being what he said is that Jenner was pretty free with all of his information with everybody, as far as the epidemic and the test subject being his wife, and he took them through the whole thing, how the virus works, and all that stuff. So I'm not sure why you would want to keep that secret specifically, unless it seems like it was some personal information.
I don't think it's Lori's pregnancy. I really don't think it's Lori's pregnancy at all. In fact, watching a little segment that is him on the walkie-talkie at the very first episode on the roof, and he's saying Jenner said, and then he looks away and he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, he had some important information he wanted to convey, and it wasn't Jenner said my wife was pregnant.
No, and it could well be that, hey, you don't need to be infected to become a zombie.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But there are some indications that in the other direction too.
Right.
Very interesting.
Thank you, Collar. And now we're going to go on to comic talk. We're just going to have this segment where we talk about things, and you may want to know that if you don't want to hear possible spoilers from things that might happen in the comic and that might happen in the show, skip to the next chapters. This could be a spoilery section, so skip ahead, but don't skip ahead too far. But skip ahead and get back to us after this. So the first thing that I noticed that's just like in the book so far is they finally showed us the barn and what's waiting in the barn, and that was a big reveal in the book or the comic. And we knew it was coming. We knew there was something bad in the barn, but they finally showed it today. So that was a huge reveal.
Right, and we didn't want to talk about this until we got into the segment with the spoiler warning. But so when I was talking earlier about Herschel sort of being the adult of the group, I actually really love that contrast because he comes across as this old fatherly adult of the group, and he turns out to be as crazy as a bedbug. He's got a bunch of live zombies penned up in the barn.
That he's gonna find a cure for. Yeah,
because he is after all other and the disease of animals.
And though I just don't know how long it's gonna last because those barn doors and the locks look fairly flimsy. So just saying it could all go crazy anywhere.
And one thing I like about this too is this show sometimes makes you work pretty hard for your disbelief, but there are some things explained in this episode, and one of them is the barn because you keep running around this barn, how come no zombies ever show up?
Yeah, exactly.
And the answer is they have been showing up and they've been playing in the barn.
And they've been corralled.
Yes.
exactly. And how about some? Do you see any other things that were different or the same as the comic?
I mean, I see that they're following the comic in very basic story structure terms. I mean, some terms they're not. I mean, they're departing pretty far from the comic, but I think there's significant differences of detail in characters. I mean, even to like Maggie's age or what Sophia's doing, and there's a lot of differences in detail, but they are still following the huge points of the story, like that they're at this farm and there's zombies in the barn. So they just seem to be coming to the big mileposts in the comic.
Exactly. And this is actually about Walking Dead. We didn't put in the news section because it is kind of spoilery, but I'm going to put it in here. And this is from an article on TVGuide.com. Robert Kirkman, it's hard for us to say Shane's eventual send-off will happen anytime soon. Quote, I certainly don't feel like he's worn out of welcome just yet. The thought of seeing Shane interact with a possible future prison storyline and interacting with other things that happened in the comic book is absolutely super appealing to me. So there you have it. He reveals the prison storyline.
Right, so again, they're getting high points of the comic. And I think Robert Kirkman would get a pretty good idea. Might be sorry to watch Shane so quickly in the comic.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's having a good time with Shane in this world.
And I would be sad if they killed off Shane quickly at this point because his character makes the show interesting.
Oh, he's definitely Shane. I completely agree. The article goes on to say, well, Kirkman is shy to say whether the infamous prison portion of the comic series will come sooner rather than later. He knows that the writers are not feeling pressure to rush the story forward, even if it means a delay in meeting a fan favorite character, Michonne, a sword-wielding survivor first introduced to the prison. Yeah, Michonne's badass. We haven't really rushed anything so far, he says. It's not like the show needs catalyst like Michonne to be thrown in early to excite people. The show's doing really well, and I think people really dig it. We are taking our time with a lot of things. We will eventually get to Michonne. We pretty much guarantee that. So there you have it.
Okay, and we have a listener comment from one of our regular commenters, Mr. Blog.
Hi, Mr. Blog. Welcome to Blog.
Mr. Blog says, after watching the scene with Daryl and Carol, the Ryan is horrible, in last week's episode, I got to thinking long term and began thinking he could become the show's Tyrese. I could completely buy he and Carol as a couple. She's more attractive than she appears. He and Rick becoming fast friends. Daryl cleaning up the prison gym, and ultimately becoming a gruesome end via the gov and Michonne's sword. The only place I can imagine would be the relationship with Michonne. Is it Michonne or Michonne? He may not be racist, but he's still the old boy. Oh yeah, one more thing. Glenn was not a virgin in the comic. When he and Maggie are chatting, he says he wanted to have sex with me more times. So Karen's dreams of following Glenn are shot. Yes, they are.
Especially because Glenn is fictional.
And he's great. And a huge congrats on being #1 on iTunes. That must be an awesome feeling. I'm shocked I didn't recognize your voice on Talking Dead.
And that was a comment for Jason because Jason called into Talking Dead. And then go ahead and read what Jason said.
Jason says, I called into the Talking Dead podcast, not the AMC Happy Show.
It's an important distinction.
Okay, so two things we have to follow on here. First of all, can you be more attractive than you appear? Isn't that what attractive means?
I think, well, hang on. Strictly speaking,
this is not a Mr. Black.
I got your back, Mr. Black. I actually agree with you because I think you can be more attractive than you may first appear.
Yes, that's true.
Because maybe you're covered in zombie goo, like Daryl coming out of the woods looking like a zombie. But actually, Daryl's pretty attractive.
Yeah, and I will say she doesn't have the most flattering haircut, so maybe if she did something like her, she'd be more attractive.
Why do you think? Was it just her terrible husband that made her that haircut?
I don't know. And is hair growing in the show? Is everybody's hair growing?
Well, sure, but it's only been like a week, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been. That's true. And then the other thing we were going to follow up on was the AMC post-game show, for lack of a better term.
Right.
So we saw the commercial for it during this episode. I mean, did he get a little bit sweater?
I love this.
I mean,
hilarious.
I was thinking he looked like he had wandered on the wrong set. You know, he either came from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or maybe inside the actor studio. It's a zombie show.
This is Chris Hardwick. Yeah, Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, maybe it's very cold in the studio.
Yes, and he's got a nice cardigan.
Yes.
A nice jumper that you can put on there, but it's cheap.
Yes, and then later in the show, she's going to show us how to actually
Okay, now come to next week on Walking Dead, and don't worry, this isn't very spoilery at all. They never tell us anything that is of substance. So next week's episode is called Secrets. It's written by Angela King. It's directed by David Boyd, and the description on AMC TV is: Secrets are told and secrets are revealed. Herschel refuses to acknowledge the world's new reality. Andrea comes out of her shell. Everyone is becoming more and more aware that everything is food for something. So that doesn't really tell us anything. So, like I said, not very spoilery, but I think it's funny that everything is food for something. I think it's hilarious. Wait, the polar bear. That's what I know. Or grizzly bear.
I will say that that's kind of what I'm living for something.
Everything's food for something. I don't know. I think I'm living that world. Maybe that's true. All right, folks. That's our show, episode 47. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
I just want to remind listeners who want to listen and chat live with us to join us next Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time by going to walkingdeadcast.com/live. It's really fun, actually. Jason and I really like a lot. Listeners get on live and chat with each other and chat with us, and we do the show, and you all can listen to us being silly kind of between segments and just being our goofy selves. So come on, listen live. Also, thanks everyone for the reviews and ratings we're getting on iTunes. We appreciate that. And if you haven't already subscribed to us in iTunes, that helps too. Even if you just want to give us a couple stars, just saying, starting to make us very happy.
Yes, join the growing, so to speak, horde.
Great, lurching horde. If you'd like to give us a call, you can call us at 650-45-DEAD. That's 650-45-3323.
You can email us at brains@walkingdeadcast.com.
You can check out our website and leave comments at walkingdeadcast.com.
And they are also on Twitter at Jason and Karen, and on Facebook at facebook.com/deadcast.
All right, that's our show.
Thanks for listening.
Don't get bit or scratch, whatever.
Art blog, huh? Want to tell me what's going on? You're old. You know things. So what if somebody told you something that somebody else should know? It's not being dramatic. Clear it out. There's walkers in the barn whispering.
Welcome to the Walking Dead cast, the podcast that gives a show. The Walking Dead.
Hey Zedhead, welcome to our podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Karen.
And this is Walking Deadcast episode 48.
Hello, welcome back.
Thank you. I listened to your episode last week and I thought it was freaking awesome.
Did you?
Yeah.
I thought
It
you
was
liked
good.
zombies anymore. I thought you thought they were icky.
You guys turned me around. It was more subdued, I thought. It was a different, well, not subdued, but it was a little more refined, I would say. That's what I would say. I thought Dave was great. It was good to hear you guys together. It seems like you actually should be married, so that's good. You're chemistry. Yeah, you're very clever and funny. Yeah, good
Aw,
job.
thanks. You know what? So glad also that you're back in town, and so glad that we're doing this now with our live chat. It feels like everything's back as
Back to normal.
back to
Yeah, the
normal.
one thing, by the way, about last time is a lot of people sent in their top 5 lists and stuff, and it was too late because you guys recorded that night. I was glad you did because we could get it out and I could get on my vacation. But I just want to let people know that from now on we're going to be recording at 5 p.m. Pacific on Monday. So if you get something in by, say, I don't know, 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Pacific, there's a chance to be on the show.
And we'll also be doing that next half of the session.
Yeah, yeah.
You can always pretty much find us here.
So while I was on vacation, by the way, I did something incredibly cool.
What did you do? Did you
I
have
can't tell you. I was in Georgia and it involved shambling. And that's all I can
Were
say.
you drunk? You did a pub crawl.
Exactly.
You did a drunken pub crawl.
We'll just say that. But I hope that I can talk about this a little bit more later. I'm not sure. Maybe not. You'll just have to use your imaginations. But while I was in Georgia,